something simple, but you've really got to study. You've got to delve down into the text. The concept for study in that passage is not in the word study to show yourself approved unto God. That's not that term means diligence. The place for study comes in after that when it says rightly dividing the word of truth. There's your study. Well, let's go on. Verse 22. Let's see if I can come up on this one here. Okay, let me go back with you and look at some of the things that we've looked at so far. We have seen the fulfillment of the messianic promise of Joel in Joel 2:28-32. But now in Acts 2:22-24, I'm sorry, let me go back. That's Joel, but in Acts, it's Acts 2:16-21, in verses 22-24, and let's read our text again, 22-24. Notice some other things that he tells us about how he does this preaching. Now remember, he has to assure them that the king has come, that Jesus is that king. That's what this next whole section deals with. You had a Messiah promised to you in the last days. Jesus is that Messiah. So let's look at what he says. Verses 22 and 23. Make sure that's the two that I am looking at here. I'm sorry, through 24. Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles, wonders, and signs, which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Now, I know that you know I'm reading from the King James Version here. One of the reasons why, okay, each version has its strengths. One of the great strengths for the King James Version, even today, is the difference in the English in its pronouns. Words like ye or you. If I am going to, any time that I'm going to be referring to a plurality in dealing with you or ye, anytime you see you or ye, it is, listen carefully, always in the plural in the King James Version. If I want the singular, it uses the Old English words, thee, thine, thy. It uses those terms. That's always singular. You in the King James Version across the Bible is always plural. Ye is nominative plural. Are you following that thought? That's one of the strengths. If you want to know whether he's talking about one or only a few, the King James Version will help you with that. One or many, or one or plural, one or more. King James Version helps you with that. If you want to have a really good version for dealing with the tenses of the Greek language, then I would suggest that you use the NAS, New American Standard Version. Powerful. But the problem with that is the two are not combined, and so you have to combine them through study. You can have a KJV in front of you there. It's the only version I know of today that still maintains the difference by use of English between pronouns that are plural and those that are singular. At least you, the you program pronoun. Okay, moving on with what he says here. As ye yourselves also know, him being delivered by the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of God, ye have taken and by wicked hands have crucified and slain, whom God has raised up, having loosed the pains of death, because it was not possible that he should be held by it or beholden of it. Now, let's go ahead and look now at what I'm being told in the passage. In other words, all of this that's happening now, Peter said, is about Jesus. Everything here is pointing you someplace. You want to know where it's going to? All right, I'll tell you, Peter says. It's pointing you to Jesus, a man you have all heard about, and you've seen that God has approved of him by the mighty works he did right in your midst. By the way, come down and look at why it's very important that we understand miracles. Missed that one. Let me see here. Do you see the terms miracles, wonders, and signs? Do you see that there?
Yes.
What were they used for in that text?
To show that Jesus was approved by God.
Exactly. That's the same way that Nicodemus uses them in John chapter 3. Rabbi, verse 1, that's teacher. We know that you are a teacher come from God. Why? No man can do these miracles that you do except God be with him. Do you understand that anytime a person claims to do the miracles that you see in the Bible, they are claiming that God is with them? Now, folks, I have a lot of my brethren who say, well, I've seen miracles. I've seen, okay, then if that's the case, what did that person say was their religion? And what did they say you needed to do to be saved? Because if they're approved of God, it's not a matter of you thinking you'll either take it or won't. If they're approved of God by a genuine miracle, guess what? You have no choice but listen to them. When these people stand in their pulpits Sunday in and Sunday out and claim that their miracles are going on and that they're a part of those, they are in essence saying, watch it carefully, they are in essence saying, I am approved of God like Jesus was and like the apostles were. I am approved of God. Do you follow that thought?
Yes.
It's one of the most important concepts of the New Testament. He was shown to be approved of God by miracles, wonders, and signs. And I have a lot of people tell me what their pastors do and the miracles that they have there. And I say, okay, does your pastor ever tell you that you need to give a certain amount of money? Well, yeah, but well, do you always give that amount of money? Well, no, sometimes I don't do that. I said, why not? You've just said he's approved of God. You've just said that he gave you the same miracles that Jesus did. Why don't you listen to every word he has to say? They don't know what to answer with that. They just want somebody to know that, well, I got miracles and I believe in miracles in my life. A lot of times they do it to say, I'm saved, and this proves that I'm saved. Well, let's look at your miracles. Let's see the miracles, wonders, and signs that Jesus did as they're presented to us in the New Testament, and then you tell me if you're doing those. I used to have a radio program in Cuthbert, Georgia for about 2.5 years, and I challenged the Church of God preacher. He was all the time getting on there talking about the great miracles that are going on all the time there. And I said, well, can you do the miracles of the Bible? Not the ones that you make up. He made a statement one time, the flowers that bloomed this morning, it's a miracle of God. I said, can you imagine Jesus? And I put this on the air too. I said, can you imagine Jesus going before any of the of Israel and saying, hey, look, flowers bloomed this morning. Therefore, I'm the Son of God.
It's humorous when you put it that way.
Well, of course it is. Of course it is. Miracles have a very special meaning, a technical meaning in the Bible. My world today has skewed that meaning. They've skewed it just like they've skewed the term baptism. I go look up baptism in the dictionary, the English dictionary, and it could be sprinkling, pouring, or dipping, or plunging, immersing. It could be any one of those. See how they take words and they skew them. They skew words like faith and belief. Faith, they said, is something you hold to be true, but with no evidence. Belief, on the other hand, they say, is something you hold to be true with evidence. And so a scientist will say, I believe a certain thing about something, and I'll look and say, well, that's your faith. No, 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 no. Because what I hold to be true has evidence. What you hold to be true doesn't, so we call yours faith.